Okay, is NAR a net positive or negative to you? Boy,
Whoa.
this is like a dream come true for me to watch Andy get excited again because there's always these trigger things that get him going. And NAR, so for everyone, is National Association of Realtors. Everyone has heard of this ungodly lawsuit that now makes realtors pay clients to be able to sell houses to them. And yeah, just kidding. But NAR has had the settlement, and they are our voice really out in the world. So, Andy, why don't you start? Is it a net positive or negative to you?
Okay, so I'm just going to be fair and I'm going to go high level on this. Back in the day when real estate was a wild, wild west, and there was a lot of people that were being bamboozled, as they would say back then, on real estate being taken advantage of, we needed something. So the National Association of Realtors came in, and everybody, follows this code of ethics. The code of ethics then makes us perform in a fiduciary responsibility capacity. We're taking care of their best interest, not our own. That was wonderful. I think it was also wonderful back when we were going through the catalogs and looking for houses. It helped us consolidate, and these multiple listing services, even though they're privately owned, a lot of them are kind of huddled together to work as one big system. That's wonderful. Where I think they've recently lost their steam, honestly, is they've been they're big political advocates. They push for a lot of things. Where I think they've lost really a lot of the steam is they've lost focus on what the association is really for. And it's for promoting the professional industry that we're in. I think they stopped that years ago. They sold the brand Realtor.com, privately owned, by the way. So now so people go to Realtor.com thinking even though it's a name owned by the Real Estate Association, it actually is not owned by NAR anymore. So people go there, they think they're getting information when it's not, false information, or it's whatever you want to call it. You're not getting what you think you're getting. Number one. Number two, why are they not promoting the best people in this industry? People with the best ethics records, people with the most amount of business in their area. All of this should be completely transparent to the consumer. This is where I think we've made the mistakes. We should be showing the industry, exposing the industry for what have you done for volume? That shouldn't be a mystery. You should be able to pull my name up on NAR, see what I've done for business, see what I've done for volume, see what I have for any complaints against me, how many compliments we have against us. A kind of a correlation and a place where people can say, that's a great agent. Part of the National Association of Realtors, very proud to be there. And this person's worth what they are charging. And I think that's where they've always harbored the weak, because the weak generate the money, and that's what they need for all of their political crap that they do.
Yeah. And I think that you understand the whole money thing is exactly right. I mean, every agent had to be part of NAR. And there's a reason they had $640 million to be able to pay out on this settlement. And that's us paying them for that. So that's a little concerning as well. I think that if they have that much money and money becomes power, the settlement did state that people do not have to be part of NAR. And I think that would be horrible. I think it would be a real bad thing for the real estate industry if NAR kind of went down. But I do agree with Andy that it needs to kind of go back to what the roots were and kind of expand on exactly what you're saying. And you've been saying this for years. We've talked about this for a long time. Exactly what you're saying. You haven't changed your tune one bit.
Thank you. Well, and you know what? It's about the consumer. It's about having a professional industry with standards, with where people can go in there and understand what they're getting and get what they deserve. And I think that the biggest problem is where all of these lawsuits and all of these other things that have come out of this are perception of what is reality and what they're really getting. And I think there's some smoke and mirrors, and I think the smoke and mirrors need to be broken and blown away. And so people can see exactly what they're getting.
I thought kind of on that whole NAR settlement, just kind of a little piece on that. I held an open house last week and someone did ask about it. And so I was like, great. And then all of a sudden there was 4 couples kind of in a big circle. And we were talking about it and kind of what that whole settlement means. And it was just really interesting to see what people thought. And I kind of made a little joke at the start about, that we're basically going to show houses and pay the clients to show them houses. Because I just don't think people, I don't know how they can believe that we are going to just not work for anything. And I said, the thing is that It's never changed. With the settlement states, it's always been that way. It's always been that way. You've always had a choice of what you wanted to do. If you don't want to pay it, then don't. There's other options for you in which to do it. So
I've always been that way. That's what's weird too, Chris, is like you and I've always been kind of a la carte on this, where I say, hey, my selling side, I charge you this. We should pay out this on the other side. I call it the worm on the hook. That brings the industry in. That's kind of what they expect to get paid for their time. And what it comes back down to, ladies and gentlemen, is this. As soon as you take the risk off of the real estate agent of hey, showing you 50 houses, and then nobody feels sorry for the agent that doesn't actually have you buy a house or get paid. They're like, well, that's the risk you chose to take by being in this industry. That's the problem, guys. If you want to pay me $150 an hour for my time or whatever the numbers are, and you want to pay me per showing as we go, and I invoice you like an attorney would, I think that'd be the best thing ever, because I'd probably be a multimillionaire years ago and wouldn't have had to worry about all this stuff. But that's not the way it works. There's a lot of windshield time, as they call it, where you don't get paid. And so when you see that little bit, hey, they're getting paid a lot for that little bit, it's all the things that go up to that make that industry work. And so you say, well, I don't want to pay for somebody else's windshield time. The problem is that realtor wouldn't be there if they didn't have that time in the industry and that experience to share with you, so that you'd have a successful, smooth transaction. That's what you really are getting.
I always talk about the transaction we do with you is this big, but it's all that stuff leading up to that transaction, and it's everything after that you end up paying for. So
at the end of the day, Chris, net positive or net negative, do you think is NAR for you?
I still want it to be a net positive with some little changes.
I think if they make some major changes and actually start focusing on the professional part of our business and who's good for the consumer and sharing sold information to the consumer, they let all that stuff go by. Everybody goes to these independent sources for information. They should be going to a National Association of Realtors to see what did the house down the street sell for, and they don't do that. And that's really sad that they don't rely on us for the accurate information.
Yeah. So you haven't answered.
I think they could be net positive for me, but right now they're net negative.
Okay, got it.